So welcome everyone. We are here for a webinar on the topic how to solve question in prelims. See, as we all know, prelims is approaching. On 28th May we have prelims. So we can go ahead with bilingual or English.
मैम वी कैन यूज बोथ द लैंग्वेजेस नो इशू
Okay,
हम
okay.
हिंदी भी यूज कर सकते हैं
Okay, great. So specifically a disclaimer है the candidates who have covered their basic completely, who have done their basic NCERT reading practice, decent question papers, will benefit more from this video instead of the candidate who haven't covered their basics and have not been religious in their preparation throughout last 1 year. If you have done that bit part of yours, you will be able to get more benefit out of the video. Otherwise, then you will not be able to understand what we are trying to get at. Okay, let's start. See, basic thing is how to attempt the question paper. Okay, so first of all, whenever you get the question paper, try to read each and every question and try to, there'll be 3 type of question. One, jinko aapko 100% aata hoga, you will be sure like this question is completely correct. Go ahead and mark those questions. Then there will be some questions in may you have some certain doubts within certain statements. And you are not comfortable enough, you are not confident enough with those questions. So you can mark, okay, this statement is incorrect. So you will be able to eliminate certain options out of based on your observations of the statement which is given. So eliminate those options, you will be left with either 2 options or 3 options. Mark those questions like as you can use any code, maybe X, Y, 1, 0, whatever is comfortable to you. And the third set of question will be like you're totally unaware of and you have no idea what to do, how to do. Leave that question. There will be around 10 to 15 such questions. So these are those questions, mark across there that you don't have to attempt those questions because the likelihood of getting this question is wrong is more. It's like 90% that you will get it wrong if you have no clue about the question. Leave those questions. Go ahead. Now this round 1 will take about 45 minutes to 1 hour. Insert, sometimes it can also take more than 1 hour. No need to panic. You can relax yourself and go ahead. When it comes to round 2, in this 30 to 45 minutes, you are supposed to do the question first, in which you have like 2 options left with yourself. Second, in which you have 3 options left to yourself. This you will be dealing in round 3, this you will be dealing in round 2. Combining these 2 rounds, if you have say about 60 to 70, 65 to 80 question you have attempted, then the likelihood of going to third round is very minimalistic. You can leave that 3 options wala round as well. But if you are somewhere around 50, 60 question, then you need to go to round 3 and mark those questions in which you have confusion in 3 options instead of 2. The chances of getting the sure questions like 100% is 20-25%. So you have to go through these 2 rounds. There is less likelihood of escaping this round. And this is where this video is going to benefit you. So you have anything else to add?
Ma'am, I think the first 2 rounds are very important. The first round especially because it will determine how's your preparation is. If you are able to do at least 30-35 questions, then you are ahead in the race. Otherwise it becomes very difficult. And even in round 2 you have to believe in yourself, you have to believe in your understanding, and try to attempt and those questions in round 2 which you are pretty sure. There can be a few questions which you are like either of the 2 options you are not able to come to one conclusion. Leave it, no issue. We are not here to get negative marking. Anything that you are sure of, just take that in round 2. And round 3 and round 4 are, I would suggest with what experience that I have and have seen students, round 3 and round 4 are to be avoided. And I think you have summed up very nicely. So we can move to the next slide.
Thank you, sir. So now this is approach 1. It is the very basic approach that you have to always keep a generic view. UPSC wants aspirants or candidates who are going to become your central services officer to know general about everything, not like to know the every micro detail of every topic. So you have to keep your broad perspective while answering your question. You cannot narrow down your perspective while answering a question. Let's take an example. Say for this question in 2020, this question was asked. With the present state of development, artificial intelligence can effectively do which of the following? So what UPSC has done is to, put a trap for you by mentioning present state of development. Candidate tendency is to narrow it down कि आज तक क्या हो पाया उसको. No, artificial intelligence has a larger scope, and with a limited reading of 1 year or two, we cannot assure कि what has been done, what has been achieved. So if you think like this is a possibility, even micro possibility that this can be done by artificial intelligence, mark that point is correct. Now look at the options. Bring down electricity consumption in industrial units, create meaningful short story and song, disease diagnosis, chat GPT, text to speech conversion, wireless transmission of electrical energy. So the answer should be D. In these sort of question where application specifically in terms of science and technology is asked, because it is very एरिया जहाँ पे ज्यादा अभी तक कुछ इतना डेवलपमेंट हुआ नहीं है, और कुछ हुआ है लेकिन बहुत कुछ अभी बाकी भी है. सो यू कैन नॉट बी श्योर कि ये हो सकता है कि नहीं हो सकता है. सो व्हाट यू नीड टू डू इज टू कीप अ ब्रॉडर पर्सपेक्टिव एंड थिंक लाइक अ ब्यूरोक्रेट. Okay, कि this is a possibility you can do. So go ahead. Let's take another example. In this question, in the context of wearable technology, which of the following tasks are accomplished by wearable devices? Same, whenever we hear wearable technology, one thing that comes to our mind is smartwatches. So don't limit your application of wearable technology to smartwatches. It can be like today, if you see people are talking about clothes with technology, the skin that you are wearing, वो आपके skin में ही you will be able to use smart devices. So these sort of technologies also being talked about. So if you see the options, location identification, sleep monitoring, assisting the hearing impaired. So these all three can be approachable by the wearable technology. So answer will be D again in this question. Sir, anything else we can add?
मैम राइटली सेड आई गेस जो भी साइंस एंड टेक के क्वेश्चंस होते हैं अगर वो अपफ्रंट गलत नहीं हो तो हम मान सकते हैं जो स्टेटमेंट डी जनरली करेक्ट होते हैं. सो विद दीज टू एग्जांपल्स आई थिंक वी हैव समड अप वेरी नाइसली. और अगर वो एब्सोल्यूट स्टेटमेंट हैं जैसे कि ऑल हो गया तो उसमें हम थोड़ा सोच सकते हैं. अगर वो कुछ एब्सोल्यूट वे में रॉन्ग है तो हम उसको मार्क कर सकते हैं. अदरवाइज वी कैन गो अहेड विद डी ऑप्शन. So we
Yeah,
can
if
move to
they're
the next.
using the terms like only this is achievable, all
Yes,
of it can be achievable, something which is out of the blue they are putting, absolute
correct.
statement, then you have to give it a thought. If it is general statement, you can go ahead. So uh, let's see the second approach. Second approach is that you don't have to dwell much on the minor figures and facts. See, as I mentioned earlier, UPSC wants people who have a broader perspective. So, unlike state PSCs or some institutes paper, you won't get tweaked quest statements around minor facts. They'll be asking you on broader perspective, not on minor facts and figures. Okay, so let's understand this with the help of an example. Say, for example, this is a question which was asked in 2020 again. Aadhaar metadata cannot be stored for more than 3 months. Now, what UPSC has done again is to keep you thinking about 3 months, that particular figure in your mind. With very first statement, you will be stuck with this, either it is 3 months or not. What you have to do is take a step back. Okay, say, okay, I don't know this. Let me get to the answer from the remaining three statements. State cannot enter into any contract with private corporation for sharing Aadhaar data. Aadhaar is mandatory for obtaining insurance products. Aadhaar is mandatory for getting benefits funded out of Consolidated Fund of India. Now you need to understand that this question was asked purely on the basis that Aadhaar judgment was passed in 2018 mid. Okay. And it was a long pending judgment which was passed. So the broader headlines of that newspapers that we used to see for around 6 months was this only: state cannot share that data with the private corporations because it is breach of right to privacy. Second statement was, for social services scheme, social sector scheme, it is important, Aadhaar is important. So automatically the person who haven't even read the statement, who have just read the headlines of the newspaper, who has been genuinely preparing throughout that year, would be able to get the right answer. Right answer is 2 and 4. Because the moment you have 4 is correct, okay, then you are left with 2 options, 1 and 4, 2 and 4. Instead of dwelling into this minor fact, you have to understand that the question in place was either we can breach the privacy or not. Okay, so automatically the statement B became right. Option B became right. Now look into the next question. See this. This again is the question which was asked in 2018. Obviously, at that time, IRNSS was in news. It is Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. So again, if you see some paper of that mock test, if you see, you will many will do is like 3 satellites in geostationary and 4 in geosynchronous. Okay, they will reverse this fact, and you will get this question wrong in your mock test. And on the basis of your pre-assumptions, okay, this kind of tweaking can be happened, you will go and mark this statement correct in your main prelim examination. Okay, but UPSC doesn't want you to know exact figures. They want to know whether you know the basic conceptual concepts or not. So when you see, if you have even basic knowledge of IRNSS, you know that it covers India and neighborhood. Okay, then not in any dream it can cover 5,500 kilometer beyond its border. If they would have only kept like it covered an area of about 5,500 square kilometer, this statement would have been correct. But it has said beyond its border. So India ka area along with 1,500 is the coverage. So they have played with the fact, but look at the difference in the fact, 1,500 to 5,500. And even basic understanding ki kitna area wo cover kar raha hai, you know that it cannot be this much. So they're not asking you like if they would have done 1,600, then you would have said that they have played with the minor facts, but it's not like that. They're not going to play like that. So the moment second statement is wrong, you are left with only A or D. So always assume that they are not going to play with this fact. Until 90% this is going to be true. They are not going to play with minor facts. So the likelihood of you getting this answer correct will be more. And if you go to the third statement, it says India will have its own satellite navigation system with full coverage, with full global coverage. So if second is incorrect, third is automatically incorrect. Okay, because this is India's satellite navigation system. Okay, this was your second approach. Sir, anything else you would like to add?
मैम आई बिलीव ऐसे क्वेश्चंस अटेम्प्ट करने चाहिए स्टूडेंट्स को, बिकॉज अगर ये भी अटेम्प्ट नहीं करेंगे तो आई डोंट थिंक वी विल बी एबल टू स्कोर गुड मार्क्स.
Correct.
So I think in such scenarios we should attempt these questions.
Correct, absolutely correct. So the next approach is, see, you cannot escape from the fact that you have to do a guesswork in your prelims exam, because the only question that you will be sure about will be 2025, not more than that. If you are getting more than that, kudos to you, you have done a brilliant job in your preparation, but generally you won't get. This is a basic area. So wise guesswork is important. But don't go by your gut feel. Okay, I think this should be correct. No, these things won't work. Either it has to be somewhere in your subconscious mind. Okay, I had read this. I think this is the correct. I had read about this. Then go with your gut feel or your subconscious mind. But if you haven't read, just ये नाम ऐसा है तो इसका आंसर ये हो सकता है मुझे लग रहा है. Don't go by that approach. 90% of the chances that you will fail with that approach. If your luck favors you, then only you can get through that question. Otherwise, it's very difficult.
And also, ma'am, I just want to put one point
Yeah,
across.
please,
Luck
please.
will not favor you in all the questions. One or two
In
questions
one
can
or
be
two,
right, but you
yeah,
can't take that risk.
correct,
Okay,
correct.
let's continue.
So now see this question. This question is like, say you haven't read about international mother language. आपको ये भी नहीं पता कि this day was even declared. You haven't gone through this. बिल्कुल भी नहीं. Okay. So it says 21st February is declared to be International Mother Language Day by UNICEF. At least you know what is UNICEF. Okay, UNICEF is an organization which works for child development, child welfare, children welfare. Okay. Why would it declare it to be International Mother Language Day? It has nothing to do with culture. Culture is dealt by UNESCO. So here, why I said intelligent guesswork is because you should know what is UNESCO and what is UNICEF. You should know कि UNICEF का mandate क्या है. If you are unaware of the mandate of even these organizations, then you cannot do this guesswork. So basic understanding is important. And then what is required is that you try to use your basic understanding. Don't come under pressure at that time. Okay, whenever you feel like you're under pressure, you don't know, take a step back, rethink over the question, you will be able to get the right answer. Okay, now the second statement is, if one is incorrect, second statement is correct. The demand that the Bangla has to be one of the national languages was raised in constitution.
It is basically from this second statement we can guess that during the partition, we all know and we study in post independence India also, during the 1940s also, that there was a two nation theory was being promoted. So that time Pakistan also mentioned that Bangla should be used by them, because East Bangladesh, which is now East Bengal now, which is Bangladesh, was actually protested against it, that it should be our language. So in a way we can get this statement, okay, okay, this could have happened. So we can take this guess at least, because this is again a very generic statement. We can consider it to be correct. The whole
Because they both
agenda
were a
of this,
part of same state.
yes, yes, exactly. So through this question, we are trying to mention you that even if you have no idea, how do you get marks out of that, right? We have already studied a lot of things. So the major point, or we want to put across through this exercise and conducting this webinar, is that even with limited knowledge, you can clear this examination, right? But you need to have your fundamentals clear. That's the thing. It doesn't mean that you need to know all the nitty gritty of all the questions. So in this scenario, option B, that is 2 only, is correct.
Now see the another question. This is Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Consider the following statement. AIIB has more than 80 member nations. India is the largest shareholder in AIIB. AIIB doesn't have member from outside India. Again, with this question, you have to go back to the context that in that particular year, this was the news that African member have also joined. Okay, and this was a big headline. It remained there for a longer period of time. So it's not to ask from you the minor current affair also. It will ask you from the major ones, and that's where people get confused. But you have to keep in mind ki what happened at that time. Even if you've read the headlines, you would have been able to get it. The thing is, third statement became incorrect because it common general awareness of key Asian members are also there. Now look at the second statement. It said India is the largest shareholder in AIIB. If China is there and China is also an Asian member, how can you expect India to be the largest shareholder simply by their financial capabilities? So if China and India are there in same organization, which refer to infrastructure investment, any sort of such organization, China has to be the largest shareholder, not India. So the statement, the only option which you are left with is A. So the answer is A. This is how you can crack down with bare minimum information. Yes, sir.
Also, I want to add that the second statement says that India is the largest shareholder of AIIB. If you just see that the headquarters of AIIB is in China, right? Obviously, we are very nationalistic people. We want India to be the largest contributor, right? We saw in IMF crisis, also 1991 crisis, that India was actually the importer from IMF. We are getting money from IMF, but in today's scenario, the situation has changed drastically. Today, we are giving money to IMF to help other countries, right? We also helped Sri Lanka, but
Hmm.
taking our nationalistic pride and things beside this question, and think in a very rational way, that India is not the largest country shareholder, is China, right? So that way we are able to eliminate the second statement. And the third statement says AIIB does not have any members from outside India. Now we should be knowing that Asia itself doesn't have 80 countries,
Hmm.
right? So it has to have countries beyond Asia as well. So in that scenario we can mark option A as the correct answer, right? So
That gives
again, if you
you,
have,
yeah, that gives
correct,
you
ma'am, continue.
clarification that 1 and 3 cannot coexist.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So you know one of them is correct, or other is incorrect. So D get eliminated at the same point only. If you just apply your common sense that Asia,
Correct. And
they
here,
are 80
here I
members.
would like to add one more point, that we need to practice more questions for these things, because it
Correct,
will
correct.
not happen during the examination. You need to practice. There is only 1 month left for the examination. We at Manika IS is trying to help you so that you narrow down to these facts, right? Ultimately, even if you qualify by 0.01%, you will qualify and you'll write mains. But just these, like last 1 month, you can practice a lot of questions because you have already studied. You try to revise more, try to get your facts cleared again, so that there is no confusion in the prelims examination. You should be going all guns blazing this time, and make sure that you practice a lot of question paper. And we are trying again to bring this point across through this exercise, is that how do you solve those questions. We can move to the next question.
Okay, okay, thank you. So let's come to the next approach, which is odd one out rule or self-contradictory statement. See, many a times you'll find that you read a question and you will figure out, okay, these three statements are in sync with each other, but this is not in sync. Okay. So the chances is that in not in sync statement is your answer. Okay, so let's understand these. Or sometimes it will be like two statements are contradictory. Like in the previous question, we saw that ki first and three cannot coexist. So you know ki something is fishy there, something is wrong, something is right. So this will help you in understanding. Let's see the question. Which of the following statement correctly explain the impact of industrial revolution in India during the first half of 19th? India handicraft were ruined. Machines were introduced in Indian textile industry in large numbers. Railway lines were laid in many parts of the country. Heavy duties were imposed on the imports of British manufacturers. See, going by the basic fundamentals, why look at the option D? Why would British import duty on the products of British? It will not, because it wanted to expand. It was industrial revolution there. They wanted to grow. So D to doesn't make only sense. Okay. Let's come to this third statement. Railway lines were laid in many parts of the country. Exactly. Railway lines were laid by British in India. So let's keep it in a loop. Let's look at the B statement. Machines were introduced in the Indian textile industry in large number. No, they never introduced machines in Indian textile industries. Why would they? Didn't want a competition for themselves, no? They have IR in their own home. Why would they want our machines to grow, our textile industry to grow? Okay. So this also doesn't make sense. Let's look at statement A and C. In Indian handicraft were ruled. Correct. Now, in such scenario, you have to realize that you have to mark the most appropriate. This is giving more holistic and more appropriate. Railway lines were laid but later, first half of 19th century. It came in 1853. Even if you don't know about this, in many part of country. This is like this seems to be like too good to India. British would never want too good for India. So the option A is correct in this question. Let's look at the second question.
Can I add a few points, ma'am?
Yeah, yeah, please, please.
So, see, in option B, it mentions that machines were introduced in Indian textile industry in large numbers. Let's
Hmm.
say even if a couple of industries which was held, but in large numbers it was not done, right?
Hmm.
So just by
Absolutely.
the use of keywords, you can get that large numbers it was not used. Railway lines were, again, as ma'am mentioned, in 1853 we have Bombay to Thane railways line was there, right? But it was not in many parts of the country. So you have to get the keywords, in order to solve the questions. Again, heavy duties, obviously heavy duties were like imposed on Indian goods which were being exported to England. So in a way it ruined the Indian market. So that's why option A is the most probable. You have to come to the most probable answer in prelims examination specifically.
Now see this question. With reference to the Indian economy, demand pull inflation can be caused increased by which of the following? Okay. So what they're asking is demand pull inflation, how will it occur? Okay, and they have given 4, 5 points: expansionary policies, fiscal stimulus, inflation index, wage, higher interest rate, higher purchasing power. How it will increase? And you need to know the basic concept: demand pull inflation. More money in market will lead to. Give me a second. More money in hands of people will lead to demand pull inflation. Okay. See, if you see the nature of expansionary policies, fiscal stimulus, they will lead to more money. Okay. Expansionary policies, you want money, liquidity is increased. Fiscal stimulus, liquidity is increased. Inflation indexing wage means 100, if there is something which is for 100 rupees, and if it goes up to 10 rupees, 110 rupees, then your wage is also increased to that level. Imagine your wage was 100 rupees earlier, thing was also for 100 rupees, now it is for 110 and your wage is now 110. How will it increase money in your hand? So it is like contradictory, na? Expansionary policy will increase money, stimulus will increase money, this will not increase money. Even if you don't know what is demand pull inflation, how it occurs, please understand. If you know that will increase money, this will increase money, this will not increase money in hands of people. Higher purchasing power, definitely, it inherently means increase money with the in hand of people. Now, rising interest rate. If interest rate will rise, you will not there less loan will be there, less borrowing will be there, hence less money in the market. Thus, the answer has to be 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 4. A. So you have anything else to add?
No, ma'am, well explained. I think, again, the point is that we need to understand a basic. We need to know what is inflation. We are not saying that if you don't know inflation, you can just attempt this question, or if you don't know fiscal stimulus, the basics has to be there. But
Hmm.
the point we are putting, like, even if you have a bit of confusion, without confusion, you can solve the question with your basic understanding as well.
With the application of the concept that you have, application of
Absolutely.
concept will always help you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's see the fifth approach, which is eliminating absolute statement. Many a times when you read the question, you will figure out that there are statement which says ki every, all, uh, none, not such sort of statement which is absolute words. So those statements are generally incorrect, not 100% incorrect, but generally they are incorrect. And 80% chances are such that such question you will get right if you mark them incorrect. So we'll have to take those chances, and it has to be intelligent also. Let's look at some example with respect to that. Say, for example, this is the question. With reference to Chauset Yogini temple, okay, consider the following statement. It is circular temple built during the reign of Kachapagatha dynasty. It is only circular temple built in India. It was meant to promote Vaishnav cult. Its design has given rise to a popular belief that it was the inspiration behind the Indian Parliament building. Now, this was the source of question because Indian Parliament design was being finalized at that time. So this statement is correct. Now look at this statement. It is the only circular temple. Only circular temple. India, which is a land of temple, is it literally like you assume that it should be the only circular temple? So this is a very absolute statement. Until the time you are like pretty sure like the statement is correct because you have read it somewhere, you have seen it, you know it. Till the time you think that you need to believe that this statement is incorrect. So if you eliminate second option, you are left with only C, which is 1 and 4. So this statement, the answer is 1 and 4. Let's look at another example. With reference to India's desert national park, which of the following statement are correct? Again, it is spread over 2 districts. We don't know, we haven't read about it. There is no human habitation inside the park. इसमें भी idea नहीं है. It is one of the natural habitat of Great Indian Bustard. Assumingly आपको नहीं मालूम है which of the following the answer to this question. Now look at the second statement. There is no human habitation. Not even one person is staying in the national park. This is the meaning of this statement, which seems which seems not correct. Okay, it is a national park, so human habitation in less number or in higher number has to be there. Thoda bahut, kuch, something should be there. So this statement is absolute. So you can eliminate this statement and you'll get the answer, which is C. So would you like to add something?
Yes, the it's a very simple question. If you see on the face of it, it looks very difficult, right? So the statement 2 says that there is no human habitation inside the park. Just in case if you happen to visit any of the national park, we all are graduates given this examination. We have studied the entire country in some form or the other, and we do have a lot of national parks in our country. Let's say I visited Kaziranga National Park, or let's say Manas National Park, right? So there was no incidence of no human habitation. Human habitations are there in national park. So just by knowing this information, you can make this question correct. So statement 2 is wrong. Just you statement 2 is eliminated, and you got your answer C. There's no rocket science to it, right? Even in the previous question paper which ma'am was just discussing, the Chaucer Yogini temple, it is like only circular temple. Just by knowing that statement is 2 is incorrect, you have your answer in form of 1 and 4. Obviously it was meant to promote Vaishnava cult in the reason, like it's a not a correct statement, right?
Hmm.
So finally, we have come to the conclusion of this webinar. We at Manika is trying to help you in solving the MCQs. We also came up with 2 map books. So if you want to buy those map books, you can always get to us. And we also have this mentoring support. Just because you are feeling some pressure, how do you handle this situation? We have a team of experts who can help you in this, guidance. They are experienced enough to help you. So just in case if you need any help, you can always get back to us. So thank you for this session, ma'am. It was a much awaited one, and we're actually waited a long time for this session, and it has come in the right time. So thank you for that. Would you like to add something more, ma'am?
Yeah, if you have any doubt and question, you can definitely ask in the chat box itself, or if not, you can comment in the video. That's where you can ask your doubt and question. We'll be ready to help you. We'll be happy to help you indeed. So yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.